Hello, parents. It's that time of the year again, back to school time. And I think about and consider that crazy commercial that's, the guys tra-la-laying or the parents are tra-la-laying down the aisles of one of the big stores, big box stores, saying it's the most wonderful time of the year. And for most parents, it is the most wonderful time of the year. But for other parents whose children struggle with worry or anxiety or anxious thoughts and feelings, it's not such a wonderful time of the year. So this video is specifically for those parents. And this time of transition is can be difficult for the children who are dealing with their worries and fears and anxieties, and even more so, can I say that, for the parents of these kids, because it's difficult to know how to best support them. So this video is just some tips that you can incorporate to help out with your wee beastie who struggles with the worries and anxieties. And I speak from my experiences not only as a parent of children who have two very different types of anxieties and worries, but also as someone who struggled with the whole idea of returning to school. For me, it was very, very traumatic. It took me a long time to adjust. And people who meet me now are like, "What? Laurel, are what? You struggle with anxiety and worry? What?" And it's true. And many people find it hard to believe. So it's with that thought process in mind that I'm going to offer some tips and suggestions. First things first, let's talk about the idea of what is anxiety? How do we recognize it? How do we recognize that our children are struggling with worries or fears or anxieties? And these are kids that may or may not have been diagnosed with anxiety. So the first thing I talk to parents about are some of the signs and symptoms. And some of those, especially around this time of year, are any changes in behaviors. They are sleeping a lot more, they are sleeping a lot less, they are let's see, what else are they doing? They may be exhibiting signs of having some sort of digestive issue. So whether they're going to the bathroom more, whether they're holding their going to the bathroom in, whether they feel nauseous, maybe they're actually throwing up in the morning when they're, before they have to go to school. You may see anger coming up at this time of year, a lot of crying. So each child is independent, and both my kids were very, very different, but I knew from my personal experience and just chatting with them gently and lovingly that this is what they were experiencing. So those are some of the signs and symptoms. Also headaches, that's another big one. And so really, if parents ask me, how do you know when to do an intervention? And I suggest to them, if it's inhibiting everyday living or life for that child and the family, then it's time to seek an intervention. And the first line of defense I always recommend is go see your family physician and talk to them about who in your community can best support your child dependent on their needs, dependent on your financial abilities. There's lots of programs out there that are free to children whose parents figure out that they are struggling. There are some types of services that are covered by benefits, and there are some that are just you pay as you go kind of thing. So, there's a whole bunch of factors to take into consideration, but discussing with your family doctor first and foremost is really a great place to start. So once you've done that and you've put everything in place, the next thing I would recommend is to ask your child. I see, say I see that you are having a little bit of troubles right now, or the word that you use in your vocabulary, and I'm wondering, do you have any ideas on how I can help you? And my son, when I asked him that, said that he would like to not go to school and go directly to college. And he was in grade 1. And I said, college? Why would you want to go to college? And he said, because you teach at college, Mommy, and you have fun. So that was his definition of school. School had to be fun. So I laughed my head off. So we tried to make it as fun as possible. Apparently, college teachers don't, there's no curriculum. You just focus on fun and eating snacks and playing with scented markers and things like that. So I laughed. But sometimes just asking the child directly is the best approach. And they'll tell you, I don't like this personality, or I don't like sitting in this row, or I don't like this, or I don't like that. So asking the child is really a critical piece in really empowering them when they're struggling, because children with anxiety, fears, and worries feel like they're not in control of everything. So if we give them the power back by asking how we can support them and what ideas they have, that goes a long way to dissipating those worries, fears, and anxieties. I have so much information in my head, and I try to keep this video really, really short. So I'm going to give you just a few things, and then you can email me afterwards to let me know, what things, what questions, additional questions you have. The next thing that's really critical, so first you go to your family doctor to find out, is this something that I should be concerned about, and how can I best support my child? Second thing is ask the child directly. The third thing is to take a look at your behavior. It's always astonishing when I work with families and I point it out to parents what their contribution is to those worries and anxieties, that parents are astonished. What? I never thought of that. My behavior is affecting and impacting them? Absolutely. And you don't even have to say anything. You can walk into a room and your child knows exactly how you're feeling. So if your anxiety and worry levels are exacerbated by your child's, then what you develop is this beautiful cycle of everybody enhancing everybody else's anxieties and worries. So it's really important that you keep your behavior in check. And maybe while you're at the family physician, you might want to make an inquiry of yourself. Sometimes it's good to go in together. You do your sessions separately, but so that you know that you're both getting help at the same time, and you can figure out the best way to support your child, and your child can learn the best way to support themselves. So it's all functioning at the same time. The other thing I'm going to recommend is that a lot of these children are experiences, they can't help it. They do not want to be worried about this. They do not want to be anxious. And sometimes we just get so frustrated as parents that we say, I don't understand it, or we lose our cool, and we make the situation worse. So it's really important that we take a step back, that we actually learn how to create a place for dialogue for our children. And one of the things that I've been working with families a lot on is doing family meditation sessions, and actually creating what I call an own zone in your home. So that's a space where you can go, or any family member can go, when they're feeling overwhelmed, to go and have that quiet space, that quiet time. Really important. Compounded with that, so not only creating that space, how can we use that space? How can we create, what can we put in that space? Maybe it's just got a chair. Maybe it's a little corner in your home somewhere. Maybe it's a closet. Don't laugh. I know people who've transformed their closets into little spaces, little nooks and crannies. Maybe there's books in there. Maybe there's nothing in there. But certainly there shouldn't be access to any type of mobile device, any type of television, any type of technology, because that distracts and that keeps brain engaged, and that means that you're not focusing in on getting that quiet time. Our society is set up so that we are go, go, go all the time. Parents are go, go, go. Kids in September not only are starting school with new teachers, new curriculum, new friends, new grade, maybe it's a new school. they're also dealing with all of the extracurricular activities that their parents have signed them up for. So just be aware that all of these new starts can be overwhelming for kids. And our super bright, super sensitive little beings are really impacted and affected by that. So sometimes you can actually stave off starting um, the extracurricular activities, talk to the school or the place where the children are enrolled and ask if you can miss the first class, just so that you stagger the starts of all of these new activities for your kids so they're not as overwhelmed. And sometimes we actually need to drop some of the programming, and one extracurricular activity is fine for some children. Some can handle or love to do, two, maybe three. But one to start is a great way to build confidence and to help out. So, those are just a few tips on helping parents when their kids are losing their cool. And if you have any questions or if you have any other ideas on what you do to help your children more readily transition back to school, please feel free to post a comment on the Facebook group, and also please feel free to share this with other parents. We have to build a community and start opening up and talking about these things that impact our families. And when we begin to share like this, we create this beautiful, safe place for us to have these dialogue and help one another become better parents, because it takes a village to raise a child. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'll talk to you again soon.